Hey, so I thought I'd read a little bit more of my book for you guys. Dr. Dre asked to meet with Tracy. He'd made his intention clear to align with a production team for all of his upcoming music video work, which, given where Dr. Dre was in 1995 and where his career was heading, was an offer of a specific and extraordinary kind. The day after the conversation, Molly called. Tupac was out of prison, he was in Los Angeles, and he wanted to meet. The choice was clear in its structure and genuinely difficult in its execution. Dr. Dre or Tupac. Both were on Death Row Records. You couldn't have them both. Tracy's relationship with Tupac was deeper than her relationship with Dre, and that relationship had been building for over a year. We went with Tupac. I wouldn't undo that decision, not for the money, not for what followed, not for any of it. Because what followed on the professional side was the most significant experience of my career. And what followed on the personal side, though I didn't know it yet, was the beginning of the end of something I had not yet admitted to myself was already ending. I first met Tupac in Malibu at the house Suge Knight was leasing from the Assistant District Attorney of Los Angeles. I want to pause on that detail for a minute because it captures something about the world that is important. The man who ran Death Row Records, who was broadly understood to have connections to the street violence his label's music described, was renting his home from a law enforcement officer. This is the kind of detail that makes Los Angeles feel, to an outsider, like a city operating by rules that are different from the rules being publicly announced. Tupac had asked to meet Tracy's business partner, which meant me. Molly picked me up and drove me out to Malibu. The situation felt, as we pulled up, not unlike the football tryout at McPherson High School, a moment where the correct response to intimidation was to not be intimidated, and where the ability to produce the response under pressure was itself the audition. So, without having context, that's from earlier in the book where I sort of go through my upbringing and what it was like to come to the U.S. as an Iranian during the hostage crisis. Anyway, we walked in. The house was full of people. Family members, associates, the particular organized chaos of a man who treats every room he enters as a potential gathering. As we passed through the kitchen, I noticed two women working the stove. Molly told me quietly, that's Afeni and Glow. Afeni Shakur, Tupac's mother, Gloria Cox's aunt. They were frying chicken with the specific focus column of women who've been feeding large groups of people their entire life, completely unbothered by the fact that the house around them belonged to Suge Knight and contained approximately 30 people on a Tuesday afternoon. Molly introduced me to Afeni as Tracy's producing partner. Afeni looked up from the stove, looked me over once with the specific, unhurried assessment of a woman who'd been reading rooms her entire life, and said, "Hey, baby." Then she turned towards the next room and yelled for someone to bring her weed. She turned back to the chicken. That was the introduction. It was, in its way, perfect, warm and matter-of-fact and completely unbothered. The greeting of a woman who had decided that the world will come to her on her terms or not at all. We walked through to the backyard. The Outlaws, Tupac's rap group, mostly young men connected to him by blood or loyalty or some combination, were in the middle of a full water pistol battle. Not an informal exchange, a battle with sides and strategies and the specific gleefulness of people who decided this is the most important thing that is happening in the world right now. The pistols were large, the kind that required two hands and hold enough water to constitute a genuine soaking. Everyone was already completely drenched. Tupac was in the middle of it. He saw us come through the door and paused just a beat. The fighting continued around him while he went still and looked at me with the specific quality of attention I would come to recognize as his default mode of encountering anyone new. Total, unhurried, deciding something. Molly stepped forward and explained who I was, Tracy's producing partner, the one who'd been running the productions. He was listening to Molly and looking at me simultaneously. The assessments happened in real time. Then his phone rang. He answered it. Immediately, the backyard changed frequency. It was Suge Knight. I didn't need to be told this. It was apparent from the first seconds of the call, from the way Tupac's entire body shifted register. The playfulness was gone. What replaced it was something harder and more specific. Controlled anger, the kind that's been waiting for an outlet and just found one. He was yelling about money, about not having received what he was owed, about the gaps between what he had been promised and what he had been delivered. The words were direct and the tone was not performative. This was not a man creating a scene. This was a man that had been waiting to have this conversation and was having it now in the backyard of Suge's own rented house in front of everyone, without any apparent concern for who was listening. I was, as a first glance, in the actual architecture of the death row relationship, instructive. Whatever the public understanding of Tupac and Suge as a partnership was, what I was watching was not a partnership of equals. It was a man demanding what he was owed from someone who had held the money and was not releasing it. The power in that relationship was not where the mythology suggests it was, and Tupac was not pretending otherwise. He put the phone down. He set his water pistol on the table. I looked at the pistol on the table. I looked at the outlaws, still mid-battle. I looked at what was available to me. I picked it up. I examined the pistol, held it visibly, pointed it at nothing in particular. I was trying to be noticed. Mutah, better known as Napoleon, one of the outlaws, clocked what I was doing and started squirting me, which was the intended result. I didn't put the gun down. I turned in circles, returning fire, completely outgunned and not willing to acknowledge it, squirting at whoever I could reach and taking everything they threw at me and kept going. Tupac was watching from the edge of the yard. Tupac pushed through them. He had ended his call. He looked at me soaked, still shooting, refusing to stop. Smile broke across his face that I've never forgotten. Now that's what I'm talking about, he said loud enough for everyone to hear. You motherfuckers surrounded him, outnumbered him, and he still didn't give up. This is one crazy Iranian. Crazy Iranian. He said it like a name he was giving me on the spot. Not a label, but a recognition. A specific identification of something he'd observed and decided was worth naming. I'd spent most of my American life managing my Iranian identity as a liability, compressing it, making it smaller, and here was Tupac looking at the quality that identity had built in me and calling it the most interesting thing in the yard. He wasn't wrong. He then simply said, "I'll see you tomorrow with Tracy." I drove back from Malibu understanding for the first time what Tracy was so captivated by him. There was no pretense to Tupac, no between the public version and the private version, no performance calibrated to the audience. He was the same way in every room. What you saw there was what there was extraordinary. How's that? Peace. West.